Hey folks, Paul Carlson here from Safety Solutions Academy, out at the range today, living the armory life. And today, living the armory life is all about playing around with some ammo from Norma. Yeah, this is Norma's range and training frangible ammunition. I'm basically out here playing billiards today, and we've been testing this ammo in a bunch of different ways to see what it can do and what it can't. I gotta tell you, if you need to make sure that you're reducing ricochet and the harm that can come from ricochet, this stuff is pretty cool. What do you say we dive into it? Well folks, as part of my job, I get to play with some pretty fun stuff. And today I'm getting to have a good time. And in fact, I've been working on this for 3 or 4 days now, testing out this new ammo, this range and training frangible from Norma. This stuff is pretty cool and it's different. Of course, it's chambered in 9mm, and I've been shooting it through my Springfield Armory XDM Elite 4.25 OSP. This tactical model in FDE is always fun to shoot, but it's been particularly fun over the past couple of days because I've been doing some stuff with the pistol that normally I wouldn't ever even consider trying. But because I've got access to this Norma range and training frangible, I'm able to do some things that I can't normally do. Let's talk about this stuff. First of all, this stuff is a frangible ammunition. And what that means is when it hits something hard, like for instance steel, this is simply going to turn into dust. And that's exactly what it is that we found as I've used this ammunition. Whenever I put these bullets into something harder than themselves, they turn to dust. In addition to that, they're lightweight. These things are 65 grains. That means that they are really cooking coming out of a 9mm. We're looking at 1650 feet per second. So these things are really maxed out on velocity. At the same time, the recoil is super soft. These bullets are accurate, and you can do all the things that you would do with traditional bullets as well. Yeah, these things, they go exactly where you want them to go. And when they hit a paper target, they behave just like any round would. They punch a nice clean hole through that paper target, giving you an indication of exactly where you're hitting. But if you're working on a harder medium, such as steel, these rounds are going to increase the level of safety that you have in reducing any ricochet or fragments coming back at you or the people around you. And that's where I really found these rounds to be really kind of cool. The first thing I wanted to do with these rounds was put them on some steel. So I grabbed my Action Target PT hostage target, and I simply hammered that target from 7 yards, just like I would with full metal jacket or hollow point ammunition. And the Action Target PT hostage target has a nice steep angle to it, and so I know that in general, I'm gonna get very little coming back off that target. Really easy to work with when it comes to shooting that steel. However, when I'm shooting a handgun, I'm not getting closer than 7 yards with normal ammunition. The next thing I did is I started to push in that distance. A couple of rounds at a time, I would just move in step by step by step. And I found out that with this range and training frangible, yeah, I literally got to contact distance on that plate before I felt anything coming back on me at all. So the next thing I did is I got out some gel. And I put some of these rounds, 5 of them in fact, into the gel, and what do you know? They behaved exactly like I would expect them to. They behaved like full metal jacket bullets. I had 20 inches of clear ballistics gel. These rounds went straight through that gel, didn't expand, no major deformation, just traveled straight on through, didn't retain a single round. Every single one of them out the back or out the top near the end of the gel block. The next thing I thought about was, how much damage is this dust gonna do if you come in serious contact with serious amounts of it right off of a piece of steel? And so the next thing I did is I took that same gel block and I lodged it underneath the steel in contact with that steel so that as the rounds hit it, the dust would travel down the target. And what do you know? It actually chewed a pretty good hole in that gel. Now, that being said, I certainly would prefer that over fragments from a standard 9mm full metal jacket round. And the reason is simple. Those little particles of dust have very little mass. They are not going to penetrate very deeply at all. I'm not saying that they wouldn't cause injury, but I'm saying it's much less likely to cause severe injury. And as I looked at that, that's what got me thinking about playing some billiards. Yeah, bouncing bullets and seeing what it is that happened if I were to bounce bullets off of steel, simulating an odd angle hit off of a wall, concrete, brick, metal, whatever it might be. I threw in some of the Norma range and training Frangible. And this stuff was really impressive. Yeah, it did do some damage to the target. There's no doubt about that. But what really surprised me was, regardless of the angle that I was shooting at, because this round turns to dust and that dust has very little momentum, it stays pretty much on the plane of that steel. Meaning that regardless of where you're at, you're not gonna have to worry about predicting the angle of ricochet. When it comes to using a full metal jacket round, yeah, you can make predictions, but when things are changing, when stuff's running on the fly, that's not the time that you want to be risking injury by guessing where a round is going to impact. But if you find yourself in some kind of a situation where you have a serious risk of either splashback from full metal jacket rounds, or if you're concerned about ricochet, I gotta tell you, the range and training Frangible is a good way to go. It's gonna perform just like full metal jacket when you need it to, but more importantly, when things go sideways, this stuff is gonna add an additional layer of protection and keeping you safe by turning to dust, reducing the overall mass of the projectile, and reducing its momentum and likelihood to cause injury. Well, folks, you know what my deal is. I like to spend time out at the range shooting, and I bet you do too. So grab some ammo, grab your pistol, and if you want to play on some steel at close range, grab some of this Norma range and training Frangible, and let's live the armory life. See you folks out at the range.